The Batman Arkham games are undoubtedly one of the best ways to experience what it's like to be the Dark Knight. And while we haven't had a new entry in the series since 2015, Gotham Knights is finally here. Well, it features Batman, except now he's dead. Developed by WB Montreal, who previously worked on Arkham Origins, comes what seems like the next step for these games, as an unlikely alliance of Batman's protégés try to uncover the truth behind his sudden death. But what about the more technical side of things? Let's dive into the PC version of the game, which by all accounts is supposed to be the best version of the title. The Batman Arkham games made great use of the Unreal Engine, and despite Arkham Knights being on the Unreal Engine 3, the game features some astounding visual quality that holds up to this day. Gotham Knights has shifted to Unreal Engine 4, which has resulted in a direct improvement in many aspects. The PC version features a plethora of visual options including, but not limited to, a field of view, depth of field, chromatic aberration, ambient occlusion, ray tracing, environmental density, draw distance, and post-process quality. I guess it goes without saying that the suite of options here is definitely impressive. We tested the game on a reasonably beefy PC, which was composed of a Ryzen 5950X and RTX 3080 Ti with 12GB of memory. The game was installed on an NVMe SSD. We first tested the game on everything switching to their highest possible options at 4K resolution. Unfortunately, performance wasn't great as we were consistently facing lag in gameplay. You see, the game gives the player different options for TAA and the highest possible settings, which is TAA Gen 5. It's very taxing. We switched over to Gen 4 and performance was way better. However, the lag was still present. As mentioned previously, our PC hardware is reasonably powerful, so not being able to max out the game at a stable 60 FPS is a tad disappointing. Although turning down some of the other settings will likely result in better performance. Briefly taking a moment to compare Gotham Knights to Rocksteady's latest, it's rather obvious that the asset quality has received a noticeable uptick in quality. The poly counts are much higher than before, and it shows if you try to zoom into a character model or try to examine the micro-level details in the environments as well. Of course, this doesn't mean that Arkham Knights looks bad by any stretch, but it certainly looks a bit dated when compared to its successor. The world streaming tech also looks similar to Arkham Knights, though that isn't a surprise since the game isn't using the cutting-edge Unreal Engine 5, which allows for rendering even larger worlds with smooth LOD swapping. Over on the presentation side of things, the TAA implementation on Gotham Knights looks much better than Arkham Knight, which was also reasonably crisp, but the game could show some shimmering artifacts, which isn't the case with this implementation. Gotham Knight's strongest suit remains mostly the same as its predecessors. The game features a high level of fidelity for its character models. From the high-quality skin meshes to physical-based materials for costumes and proper physic implementations for capes, Gotham Knights has a lot to love when it comes to gawking at these faithfully recreated superheroes. Combined with cinematic lights that are triggered during cutscenes, these character models can look really amazing. Of course, the environments have to be top-notch when it comes to an open-world game like Gotham Knights. Much like Arkham games that came before, Gotham Knights also doesn't feature a dynamic time of day since the game is primarily set during nighttime, so a lot of the lighting work can be delegated to pre-calculated bake lighting for some sources of light, which is what looks to be happening here as well. This saves up on compute resources, and the game can use the fixed sources of light and their reflections to create an ominous atmosphere that works great in a game such as this one. Suffice to say, Gotham Knights features an impressive presentation when it comes to its environments. Plenty of light sources cast their reflections on the slick, rain-soaked streets of Gotham City, while neon signboards peppered throughout the landscape come together to create a unique aesthetic that's really beautiful. Furthermore, playing on a high-end PC would also give you the option to turn on ray-traced reflections, which would obviously allow for dynamic reflections that are way more realistic than your normal baked-in reflections or cube maps or other implementations that they may feature otherwise. Gotham Knights features a vast map with plenty of varied locations and elevation, and it doesn't compromise on the micro-level fidelity that we have come to expect from AAA games of such a scope. The asset streaming system works very well and showed no signs of LOD swapping or visible pop-in during our experiences with the game. Gotham Knights also seems to render solid chunks of the map at once with some impressive draw distances, though I am personally not sold on the fact that these draw distances or the world streaming system is something that wouldn't have been possible on last-gen hardware. The Arkham games also featured similarly expansive open worlds with plenty of mobility options to traverse these distances quickly, and last-gen hardware was able to handle it all with relative ease. Of course, there might be some other differences with regards to how Gotham Knights handles its asset streaming system, or there could have been other complications with regard to different movement abilities for each of the 4 characters. But we didn't notice any radical changes in the technical makeup that would warrant skipping last-gen hardware entirely. And this brings us to the post-processing side of things. On top of the impressive asset quality and environmental detail, Gotham Knights uses a bevy of post-processing effects to enhance the visual presentation. The game utilizes an impressive implementation of TAA anti-aliasing, which shows little to no signs of shimmering or image softening artifacts. It's easy to mistake it for MSAA, which is something that happens a lot with Naughty Dog games as well. The game also uses a lot of volumetric fog to establish a sense of atmosphere, and it doubles as a method of mask of details in faraway areas. You'll also find light diffusing through these dense particles at various points across the world as well, which also looks really great. Weather effects like rain and snowstorms are also used at times, which look great thanks to its use of high-quality assets. Furthermore, you'll also come across plenty of explosions, which are all rendered in high detail and are accompanied by a slew of alpha particles. There's also generous use of depth of field and motion blur. And that's a general theme with the complete game as well. Gotham Knights is a beautiful looking game with many strong suits, and with high-end PC hardware, it will likely blow you away with its vistas. However, the game still runs on Unreal Engine 4, and it's not something that hasn't been done before. Part of that could be the developer's insistence on sticking to Unreal Engine 4 instead of shifting to the newer UE5. But either way, there is a constant feeling that it could have been so much better since the developers completely skipped last-gen consoles. The Arkham games had always featured cutting-edge visuals, and Gotham Knights continues that trend on a high-end PC, albeit with performance issues that need to be resolved post-launch. Hey, did you know that we at GamingBolt upload new videos every day? Stick around, drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell. Let us know what kind of content you'd like to see in the future with a comment below, and be sure to check out our new channel, GB Plays.